The Flower Ornament Scripture, Book 4, The Formation of the Worlds. Then the great enlightening being, universally good, by means of the spiritual power of the Buddha, looked over the oceans of all worlds, the oceans of all sentient beings, the oceans of all Buddhas, the oceans of all elemental realms, the oceans of all sentient beings' actions, the oceans of all sentient beings' faculties and inclinations, the oceans of all teaching cycles of all Buddhas, the oceans of all time periods, the oceans of all powers of vows of the Buddhas, and the oceans of all the Buddha's miracles. Having thus observed and examined all these, he declared to all the enlightening beings in the ocean of congregations at all scenes of enlightenment, Children of Buddha, the Buddha's pure knowledge of the formation and disintegration of all oceans of worlds is inconceivable. Their knowledge of the oceans of actions of all sentient beings is inconceivable. Their knowledge of the oceans of structures of all elemental realms is inconceivable. Their knowledge, which can tell of the oceans of all inclinations, understandings, and faculties, is inconceivable. Their instantaneous knowledge of all the past, present, and future is inconceivable. Their knowledge revealing the boundless ocean of vows of all enlightened ones is inconceivable. Their knowledge demonstrating the oceans of miracles of all Buddhas is inconceivable. Their knowledge operating the cycles of teaching is inconceivable. Their knowledge of how to construct explanations is inconceivable. Their pure Buddha bodies are inconceivable. Their oceans of boundless forms illumining everywhere are inconceivable. Their marks and subsidiary refinements, all pure, are inconceivable. Their ocean of boundless auras, fully pure, is inconceivable. Their ocean of clouds of light of various colors is inconceivable. Their ocean of extraordinary dual radiance is inconceivable. Their ocean of perfect languages is inconceivable. Their ocean of powers of magical displays to civilize and develop sentient beings is inconceivable. Their oceans of courageous taming of all sentient beings, letting none go to ruin, is inconceivable. Their abode in the state of Buddhahood is inconceivable. Their entry into the realm of realization of thusness is inconceivable. Their protective and sustaining power is inconceivable. Their examination of all spheres of enlightened knowledge is inconceivable. Their spheres of power, which none can overcome, are inconceivable. Their quality of fearlessness, which none can surpass, is inconceivable. Their abiding in undifferentiated concentration is inconceivable. Their miraculous displays are inconceivable. Their pure independent knowledge is inconceivable. All the enlightening teachings, which none can destroy, are inconceivable. All these things I shall, with the power of the Buddha and of all enlightened ones, fully expound, to cause all sentient beings to enter the ocean of knowledge and wisdom of the Buddha, to cause all enlightening beings to abide securely in the ocean of virtues of the Buddha, to cause all oceans of worlds to be adorned by the freedom of the Buddhas, to cause the lineage of the enlightened ones to continue unbroken throughout all ages, to cause the real true nature of all things to be pointed out in all oceans of worlds, to cause all sentient beings to be taught in accordance with their understandings, to cause the expedient methods according to the ocean of all beings' faculties to induce them to engender the qualities of Buddhahood, to cause the mountains of all obstructions to be smashed, according to the inclinations of all beings, to cause all sentient beings to purify and master the essential ways of emancipation in accordance with their mentalities, and to cause all enlightening beings to abide in the ocean of vows of universal goodness and wisdom. Now the enlightening being universally good, because he wished to gladden the innumerable beings at the sight of enlightenment, to increase their appreciation of all truths, to cause them to conceive an ocean of great true faith and resolve, to cause them to purify the all-sided cosmic matrix body, to cause them to establish the ocean of vows of the universally good, to cause them to purify the eye of equanimous knowledge, which enters equally into past, present, and future, to cause them to increase the ocean of great wisdom, illumining the repository of all worlds, to cause them to develop memory power, to hold all the teaching cycles, to cause the whole realm of Buddhahood to be manifested in all enlightenment sites, to cause all the Buddha teachings to be brought forth, to increase the nature of vast, profound, all knowledge of the cosmos, he spoke these verses. The exceedingly profound ocean of virtues of wisdom appears in innumerable lands throughout the 10 directions. Its light shining everywhere, turning the wheel of the teaching, in accord with what the various sentient beings need to see. The ocean of lands of the 10 directions is inconceivable. Buddha has purified them all over immeasurable eons in order to edify beings and cause them to mature. He appears in all lands. The Buddha's realm is most profound, inconceivable. He shows it to all beings, letting them enter. But their minds, like the petty, and are attached to existence, so they cannot understand what the Buddha has realized. If any have pure faith and unshakable minds, and are always able to associate with good teachers, all the Buddhas will give their power, so they can enter enlightened knowledge. Beyond flattery and deception, hearts pure, always gladly kind and compassionate, of joyful natures, determination broad and great, faith profound, such people hearing this teaching are glad. Dwelling on the ground of universally good vows, cultivating the pure ways of enlightening beings, regarding the cosmos-like space, these people can know the Buddha's sphere. Such enlightening beings gain true benefit, seeing the Buddha's mystical powers. None who practice other paths can know. Only those of universally good practice can understand. Sentient beings are infinite, yet Buddha guards them all in his thoughts, teaching the truth, reaching all, the power of Vairochana's realm. All lands are in my body, and so are the Buddhas living there. Watch my pause, and I will show you the Buddha's realm. The practice and vows of universally good are boundless. I have already fully cultivated them. The vast body of the realm of the universal I is the Buddha's sphere. Listen clearly. Then the great enlightening being, universally good, said to the great masses, O children of Buddha, there are 10 things about the world oceans which the Buddhas of past, present, and future have explained, do explain, and will explain. What are these 10? They are the causes and conditions of the origination of the world oceans, the bases of the world oceans, the forms of the world oceans, the substances and natures of the world oceans, the adornments of the world oceans, the purity of the world oceans, the appearance of Buddhas in the world oceans, the eons of subsistence of the world oceans, the differences in changes over the ages of the world oceans, and the aspects of the world oceans that have no differences. If expressed in brief, there are these 10 things, but if they are fully expounded, there are as many as atoms in an ocean of worlds, which the Buddhas of past, present, and future have, do, and will explain. Children of Buddha, if explained in brief, There are 10 kinds of causes and conditions by which all oceans of worlds have been formed, are formed, and will be formed. What are the 10? They are, because of the Buddha's mystical powers, because they must be so by natural law, because of the acts of all sentient beings, because of what is realized by all enlightening beings developing omniscience, because of the roots of goodness accumulated by both enlightening beings and all sentient beings, because of the power of the vows of enlightening beings purifying lands, because enlightening beings have accomplished practical undertakings without regressing, because of the enlightening beings' freedom of pure resolve, because of the independent power flowing from the roots of goodness of all enlightened ones, and the moment of enlightenment of all Buddhas, and because of the independent power of the vows of the universally good. This is a summary explanation of 10 kinds of causes. If I were to explain it in full, there are as many as atoms in an ocean of worlds. Then the great enlightening being, universally good, in order to reiterate the meaning of what he had said, receiving the power of the Buddha, looked over the 10 directions and spoke these verses. The boundless ocean of myriad lands explained by Rochana Buddha has all beautifully purified. The world-honored one's realm is inconceivable. Such are his knowledge, wisdom, and mystic powers. Enlightening beings cultivate the practice of oceans of vows, universally adapting to the inclinations of sentient beings. The mentalities of sentient beings are boundless. The enlightening beings' lands extend throughout all 10 directions. Enlightening beings aim for omniscience, diligently cultivating various spiritual powers, generating oceans of infinite vows, developing vast, expansive lands. Cultivating oceans of practices without bound, they enter the realm of Buddhahood, also infinite. In order to purify the lands in the 10 directions, they spend countless eons in each land. Sentient beings are muddled by afflictions. Their conceptions and inclinations are not the same. According to their mental states, they perform inconceivably many acts, thereby forming the oceans of all lands. The treasury of adornments of the lands of Buddha children is made of jewels of undefiled light. This depends on a mind of vast, resolute faith. Their dwelling places in all quarters are all like this. Enlightening beings can cultivate the universally good practice, traveling paths as numerous as atomic particles in the cosmos, in each atom revealing countless lands, pure and vast as space. They manifest mystic powers equal in extent to space, and go to enlightenment sites where the Buddhas are. Upon their lotus seats they reveal many forms, in each and every body containing all lands. In a single instant, they reveal past, present, and future, where all oceans of lands are formed. Buddha, by appropriate techniques, enters them all. This is what Vairochana has purified. Then the enlightening being, universally good, said to the congregation, O children of Buddha, each of the oceans of worlds has bases of support as numerous as atoms in an ocean of worlds. That is to say, they may rest on all adornments, or in space, or on the lights of all jewels, or on the lights of all Buddhas, or on the lights of the colors of all jewels, or on the voices of all Buddhas, or on illusory actions, or on thunderbolt bearers in the form of powerful titans, or on the bodies of all the leaders of the worlds, or on the bodies of all enlightening beings, or on the ocean of all different embellishments produced by the power of the vows of the universally good enlightening beings. The oceans of worlds have such bases as these, as many as atoms in an ocean of worlds. Then, in order to reiterate the meaning of this, universally good, receiving the power of the Buddha, surveyed the 10 directions and said in verse, "All the various lands there are, filling space in the 10 directions, sustained by Buddha's mystic power, appear in all places so all can see. There are some varieties of lands, all made of undefiled jewels, pure gems, the most exquisite, radiating everywhere oceans of light. Then there are lands of pure light, which rest in the realm of space. Some are in oceans of jewels, some rest in mines of light. Buddha, in the midst of this ocean of groups, expounds teachings all skillful and subtle. The realm of the Buddhas is boundlessly vast. Beings who see it are gladdened at heart. Some are embellished with precious stones shaped like flower lamps in vast arrays. Their clouds of fragrant flame light, blazing with color, covered with webs of jewel lights. Some lands have no boundaries. They rest in the deep, immense lotus sea, broad, pure, unique among worlds, because they're adorned by Buddha's goodness. Some world oceans revolve, stabilized by Buddha's power. Enlightening beings are everywhere there, always seeing immeasurably vast treasures. Some rest in thunderbolt hands, some on celestial leaders' bodies. The supremely honored Vairochana is always here, actively teaching. Some rest evenly on jewel trees, or likewise on clouds of fragrant flames. Some rest on great bodies of water, some in the ocean of indestructible diamond. Some rest on thunderbolt banners, some are in flower seas. Vast, mystic powers all-pervading, Vairochana here can appear. Some long, some short, there are innumerable kinds. Different, too, are the rings they form. Their stores of beautiful adornments are extraordinary. Only the purified and cultivated can see. Thus each of them are different, but all rest on the ocean of vows. Some lands are always in space, with Buddhas like clouds filling them. Some hang upside down in space, sometimes existing, sometimes not. Some lands are extremely pure, resting in enlightening beings' precious crowns. The great spiritual powers of the Buddhas everywhere are all seen herein. The voices of the Buddhas fill them all, produced by the power of deeds. Some lands fill the universe, pure, undefiled, arising from mind, like reflections, illusions, boundlessly vast, each different, like in Indra's net. Some show stores of various adornments set up in empty space. Realms of actions are inconceivable. Buddha's power reveals them for all to see. Inside the particles of each land, constantly revealing the Buddha lands, their numbers infinite, equal to beings, such is the action of the universally good. In order to fully develop beings, he cultivated practice here for infinite eons, producing great miraculous displays, extending everywhere through the cosmos. In each atom of the lands of the cosmos rest the vast oceans of worlds. Clouds of Buddhas equally cover them all, filling every place. Like the free action in one atom, so it is in all atoms. All the great occult powers of Buddhas and enlightening beings, Vairochana can cause to appear. All the vast lands are like reflections, illusions, or flames. Nowhere is their origin seen, nor where they go, or whence they came. Disintegration and formation recur in cycles without pause in the midst of space. All depends on pure vows, sustained by the vast power of action. Then the enlightening being, universally good, said further to the great congregation, "Children of Buddha, the oceans of worlds have various different forms and characteristics. That is to say, some are round, some square, some neither round nor square. There are infinite distinctions. Some are shaped like whirlpools, some like mountains of flames, some like trees, some like flowers, some like palaces, some like living creatures, some like Buddhas. There are as many forms such as these as there are atoms in an ocean of worlds." Then, to review this point, universally good, imbued with the power of the Buddha, looked over the 10 directions and said, "The oceans of lands are variously different, various adornments, various supports, different forms, all beautiful, pervade the 10 directions. You should together all observe them. Some are round, some are square, some triangular, some octagonal, gemstone wheel-shaped, lotus blossoms, and so on. All are different according to deeds. Some have arrays of pure flames mixed with gold, most rarely fine. All doors open with no resistance. This is from deeds broad-minded and pure. The store of boundless differences of the oceans of worlds is like clouds draped in the sky. Jewel discs spread on the ground in wonderful arrays, the lights of the Buddhas shining therein. All lands, distinctions of mind, appear reflected in various lights. In these oceans of worlds, Buddhas each manifest mystical powers. Some lands are dirty, some are pure, pleasant or painful, each is different. This comes from the inconceivable ocean of acts. Cyclic phenomena are always like this. Inside a single hair pore, inconceivable lands with various bases, many as atoms, in each of them a universal illuminator, expounds the truth in the midst of the crowd. In a single atom, great and small lands, variously different, as numerous as atoms, level, high and low, each is different. Buddha goes to all to operate the teaching. The lands manifested in a single atom are all the occult power of the original vow. According to the various differences in inclination of mind, all can be made in the midst of space. In all atoms of all lands, Buddha enters each and every one, producing miracle displays for sentient beings. Such is the way of Vairochana. Then the enlightening being, universally good, also said to the great assembly, "Children of Buddha, know that the oceans of worlds have various substances. Some have bodies of arrays of all jewels. Some are of various ornaments made of all precious substances. Some are of lights of all jewels. Some are of lights of various colors. Some are of lights of various adornments. Some are composed of Buddha's powers. Some are of characteristics of fine gems. Some are made of miraculous displays of Buddhas. Some are of jeweled sun discs. Some are of extremely minute, fine jewels. Some are made of radiance of all jewels. Some are of various fragrances. Some are made of crowns of precious flowers. Some are of all jewel reflections. Some are made of what is manifested by all adornments. Some are made of an instant of mind manifesting the whole cosmos. Some are made of jewels in the forms of enlightening beings. Some are made of jewel flower pistils. Some are made of the spoken sounds of the Buddhas." Then, to repeat this, universally good surveyed the 10 directions by the Buddha's power and said, "There are some oceans of worlds compounded of jewels, solid and unbreakable, resting on precious lotus bottoms. Some are pure light beams of unknowable origin. These arrays of all light beams rest in empty space. Some are made of pure light and also rest on light rays, embellished with clouds of light where enlightening beings roam. There are some oceans of lands born of the power of vows, existing like reflections. They can't be grasped or explained. Some are made of precious stones emitting sun-like light. Discs of pearls adorn the ground, and enlightening beings abound. Some lands are made of jewel flames covered with clouds of flames. The radiance of the jewels superb. All comes from results of acts. Some are born of subtle forms, with various features adorning the ground, like crowns holding all jewels. These come from the Buddha's work. Some are born from the ocean of minds, existing according to what the minds understand. Like illusions, they have no locus. All are mental constructions. Some are made of the precious light of the Buddha's aura. All the Buddhas appear therein, each producing miracles. Some universally good enlightening beings produce various oceans of lands, adorned by the power of their vows, all exceptionally sublime. Then the enlightening being universally good also said to the great congregation, "Know that the oceans of worlds have various adornments. Some are adorned by all ornaments producing beautiful clouds, some by explanations of the virtues of all enlightening beings, some by explanations of the rewards of actions of all sentient beings, some by revelations of the ocean of vows of all enlightening beings, some by representations of the images of all Buddhas of past, present, and future, some by the spheres of occult powers, revealing boundless eons in a single moment, some by production of all Buddha bodies, some by production of fragrant clouds of all jewels, some by radiant lights showing the wonderful things in all enlightenment scenes, some by illustration of the practices and vows of all universally good ones. There are as many such adornments as atoms in an ocean of worlds." Then to repeat, universally good, imbued with the power of the Buddha, looked over the 10 directions and said, "The vast oceans of lands are boundless. All are made from pure action, with various adornments and various abodes. They fill all 10 directions. Clouds of jewel flames of boundless forms, vast arrays of adornments, not the same, always appear in all oceans of lands, radiating subtle sounds, expounding the truth. Adorned by the various great vows of the enlightening being's boundless sea of virtues, these lands simultaneously produce sublime sounds, shaking the network of the lands of the 10 directions. The ocean of beings' acts is vast, immeasurable. According to the results they effect, the lands are each different. Their adornments in all places can tell of this by the Buddha's powers. The spiritual powers of Buddhas past, present, and future appear throughout the oceans of lands. In each phenomenon, all the Buddhas appear. Thus do they purify. You should observe. Past, future, and present eons, all lands in the 10 directions, and all the adornments therein, all appear in each land. In all phenomena are countless Buddhas, as many as beings filling the world. In order to teach, they produce mystic effects, whereby they adorn the oceans of lands. All the adornments emit beautiful clouds of various flowers and fragrant flames, with clouds of jewels appearing as well. The oceans of worlds are embellished with these. All sights of enlightenment in the 10 directions are complete with all kinds of adornment. Flowing light spread afar, like clouds of color. All are shown in this ocean of lands. The practice of the vows of the universally good Buddha children have practiced for eons as many as beings. Boundless lands have they all adorned, all appearing in all places. Then universally good also said to the congregation, "Know that in the oceans of worlds there are oceans of purifying techniques, as many as the atoms in an ocean of worlds. That is to say, the enlightening beings associate with all good teachers to cultivate the same roots of goodness. They cause great clouds of virtues to grow, extending throughout the universe. They clarify all their great beliefs. They contemplate the spheres of all enlightening beings and abide therein. They cultivate all means of transcendence and fulfill them. They contemplate all stages of enlightenment and enter them. They produce the ocean of all pure aspirations. They cultivate all practices essential for emancipation. They enter into the ocean of all adornments. They perfect the power of purifying methods. There are as many of these and others as there are atoms in an ocean of worlds." Then, to reiterate, universally good looked over the 10 directions by the power of the Buddha invested in him and said, "The adornments of all oceans of worlds are born from countless techniques, vows, and powers. All the oceans of lands always shine, produced by the power of countless pure deeds. Forever associating with good teachers, together doing good works, all pure, with great compassion extending to all beings, thereby are world oceans adorned. Concentration on all the teachings, meditation, liberation, and skill in means are all purified with the Buddha. Thus are the world oceans born. Developing boundless certainty, able to understand like the Buddha, having purified patience and skill in means, thus can boundless lands be purified. Cultivating supreme practices to aid sentient beings, virtue great and always growing, like clouds spreading as far as space, thus are world oceans perfected. The transcending means are infinite, many as beings. All have the Buddha's practice to perfection. Transcendent vow-taking has no end. Pure world oceans are born from here. Purely practicing all peerless truths, developing boundless liberating practices, edifying beings by various means, thus are beautified oceans of worlds. Practicing techniques of adornment, entering the ocean of teachings of enlightened virtues, causing all beings to dry up the source of suffering, thus are vast lands perfected. The ocean of powers is peerlessly great, causing all beings to plant roots of good, making offerings to all the enlightened, thus are boundless lands all purified. Then universally good address the masses again. Buddha children, know that in each ocean of worlds there are differences in the manifestation of the Buddhas, as many as atomic particles in an ocean of worlds. That is, some manifest small bodies, some large bodies, some manifest short lives, some long lives, some only adorn and purify a single Buddha land, some adorn and purify innumerable Buddha lands, some only reveal one vehicle of teaching, some reveal inconceivably many vehicles of teaching, some appear to tame a few sentient beings, some tame boundless sentient beings. Such differences as these are as many as atomic particles in an ocean of worlds. Then, universally good, to review, looked over the 10 directions by the power he received from the Buddha and said, various accommodating methods of the Buddhas appear in all the oceans of worlds, all adapted to the inclinations of sentient beings. This is the Buddha's power of skillful expedience. The reality body of the Buddhas is inconceivable, colorless, formless, beyond any image, yet able to manifest myriad forms for sentient beings, causing them to see according to their inclinations. Some manifest short lives for beings, some appear to live for countless eons. The reality body manifests throughout the 10 directions, appearing in the world according to suitability. Some there are who beautify and purify all the inconceivable oceans of worlds in all directions, and some only purify one single land, yet showing all within that one. Some, according to the mentalities of sentient beings, reveal inconceivably many various vehicles of liberation. Some only expound one vehicle of teaching, yet within that one are revealed innumerable methods. Some there are who, naturally enlightened, cause a few beings to abide in the way. Some can, in a single instant, awaken countless deluded ones. Some produce mystical clouds from their pores, which manifest countless, boundless Buddhas appearing in all worlds, liberating beings by various means. Some there are whose spoken sounds pervade everywhere, explaining truth in accord with mental inclinations of beings, through inconceivably many eons, taming oceans of countless beings. Some have infinite beautified worlds, their congregations pure, sitting solemnly, Buddhas like clouds spreading over, filling the oceans of worlds in the 10 directions. The techniques of the Buddhas are inconceivable, all appearing in accord with beings' minds, abiding in various beautified fields, extending throughout all lands. Then, universally good, again address the great assembly. Buddha children, know that the oceans of worlds have as many spans of existence as there are atoms in an ocean of worlds. That is, some abide for an incalculable eon, some abide for an infinite eon, some abide for a boundless eon, some abide for an incomparable eon, some abide for an uncountable eon, some abide for an unspeakable eon, some abide for an inconceivable eon, some abide for an immeasurable eon, some abide for an inexplicable eon. There are as many such spans as atoms in an ocean of worlds. Then, to review, universally good, looking over the 10 directions by the power received from the Buddha, said, among the oceans of worlds are various ages adorned by vast, extensive technical skills. Observing all the lands in the 10 directions, the differences in the measures of their ages become clear. I see that the eon lengths in the world oceans of the 10 directions are innumerable, same as sentient beings, some long, some short, some are without bounds. I now tell of them by the Buddha's voice. I see the oceans of lands in the 10 directions. Some abide for eons numerous as atoms, some for one eon, some for numberless. Each is different due to the variety of vows. Some are wholly pure, some wholly defiled. Then again, in some, purity and defilement are mixed. The structures of the oceans of vows vary, abiding in the conceptions of sentient beings. Having cultivated practices for eons as many as atoms in a land, and attained vast and pure oceans of worlds, the Buddha's realm is fully adorned, abiding forever through boundless eons. Some eons are called light of various jewels, some mind of radiant eyes or equal sound, undefiled light or eon of virtue. These pure eons contain all eons. There are pure eons where one Buddha appears, or in one eon countless Buddhas may appear. With inexhaustible skill in means and great willpower, they enter into all the various ages. Infinite eons may enter one eon, or one eon may enter many eons. The various aspects of the ocean of all eons clearly appear in the lands of the 10 directions. The adornments of all eons may all appear in one eon, or the adornments of one eon may enter all boundless eons. From the first moment to the completion of the eon, all is born from the conceptions of beings' minds. All oceans of lands, their eons boundless, are purified by one technique. Then Universally Good also said to the masses, "Children of Buddha, you should know that the oceans of worlds have as many differences in changes in the ages as there are atoms in an ocean of worlds. That is, as a consequence of natural law, the oceans of worlds have innumerable changes of the ages, forming and disintegrating. Because defiled beings live in them, the oceans of worlds have changes in the ages, becoming defiled. As a result of having sentient beings who cultivate great virtues living in them, the oceans of worlds have changes in the ages, coming to have some purity in the midst of their defilements. As a result of enlightening beings with faith and understanding living there, world oceans have changes in the ages, coming to have more purity than defilements, as a result of innumerable beings there conceiving the will for enlightenment. The ocean of worlds have changes in their ages, becoming totally pure. As a result of enlightening beings traveling in the various worlds, the oceans of worlds have changes in the ages, becoming beautified with boundless adornment. As a result of the enlightening beings of all the world oceans in the 10 directions gathering, world oceans have changes in the ages, becoming beautified with infinite great adornments. Because of the Buddhas passing away into nirvana, world oceans have changes in the ages, their adornments dying out. Because of Buddhas appearing in the worlds, oceans of worlds have changes in the ages, becoming extensively beautified and purified. Because of the mystic powers and edifying miracles of the Buddhas, world oceans have changes in the ages, becoming pure all over. There are as many such changes as atoms in an ocean of worlds. Then, to reiterate, the enlightening being universally good, looking over the 10 directions by the power received from the Buddha, said in verse, "All lands are born according to the power of actions. You all should observe the forms of changes as they are. Defiled sentient beings are bound by habitual confusions to be feared. Their minds cause oceans of worlds to all become defiled. If any have pure hearts and cultivate virtuous deeds, their minds will cause oceans of worlds to have purity mixed with defilement. If enlightening beings of faith and understanding are born in the age, according to what's in their minds, purity mixed with defilement will show. When infinite sentient beings determine on enlightenment, their minds will cause world oceans to be pure for that age. When boundless billions of enlightening beings travel to all quarters, adornments, all of them equal, are variously seen throughout the age. When in each and every atom of Buddha lands as many as atoms enlightening beings gather together. All the lands are pure. When a Buddha passes away, that land's adornments perish. If no beings are vessels of truth, that land becomes defiled. If a Buddha appears in the world, everything is marvelous. In accord with the purity of mind, all adornments are complete. The spiritual powers of the Buddhas are shown in inconceivable numbers. Then the ocean of lands are all totally pure. Then universally good again address the assembly. Children of Buddha, know that there are as many ways in which the oceans of worlds are not different, as many as atoms in an ocean of worlds. That is, there is no difference in the number of worlds in each ocean of worlds, being as many as atoms in an ocean of worlds. There is no difference in the powers of the Buddha's appearance, appearing in each ocean of worlds. There is no difference in that all enlightenment sites in each ocean of worlds pervade the cosmos in all directions. There is no difference in the assemblies at the enlightenment sites of all the Buddhas in each ocean of worlds. There is no difference in the auras of all the Buddhas in each ocean of worlds, pervading the cosmos. There is no difference in the miracles and epithets of all Buddhas in each ocean of worlds. There is no difference in the voices of all the Buddhas in each ocean of worlds, pervading the ocean of worlds and abiding forever. There is no difference in the techniques of the teaching cycles in each ocean of worlds. There is no difference in that each ocean of worlds, all oceans of worlds everywhere, enter into the individual atom. There is no difference in that in each and every atom of each ocean of worlds are manifest the vast realms of all the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. The aspects of the oceans of worlds which are not different are, briefly stated, thus. If they are fully told, there are as many as atoms in an ocean of worlds. Then the enlightening being, universally good, to recapitulate, looked over the 10 directions by the power of the Buddha, and said in verse, "In each atom are many oceans of worlds, their locations each different, all beautifully pure. Thus does infinity enter into one. Yet each unit's distinct, with no overlap. Within each atom are inconceivably many Buddhas, appearing everywhere in accord with beings' minds. Reaching everywhere in all oceans of worlds, this technique of theirs is the same for all. In each and every atom are enlightenment trees, all draped with various adornments, in which all lands alike appear. In this all are no different. In each atom are congregations numerous as atoms, all surrounding the leader of humanity, going beyond all, pervading the worlds, yet with no crowding or confusion. In each atom are innumerable lights pervading the lands of the 10 directions, all showing the Buddha's enlightening practices, the same in all oceans of worlds. In each atom are infinite bodies, transforming like clouds, circulating everywhere. By mystic Buddha powers they guide all beings, no different in all 10 directions lands. In each atom are expounded many teachings. Those teachings are pure and revolve like wheels. The gates of freedom by various means are all told of without discrimination. One atom emanates all Buddha's voices, filling those beings who are receptors of truth. Omnipresent in the oceans of worlds for countless eons, these voices too have no difference. The countless beautiful adornments of oceans of worlds all enter inside a single atom. Such mystic powers of the Buddhas all arise from the nature of action. In each atom, the Buddhas of all times appear, according to inclinations, while their essential nature neither comes nor goes. By their vow power, they pervade the worlds.